Curious, sir, and curious, sir, the yellow magic robot said in fear. Plex was now scared. He was getting taller and taller as the moment he forgot that speaking like a robot is stupid. He looks down at his feet and sees that they are skating so far off. I wish you had stockings on, my dear feet, Plex says. Let me see. I might get a new pair of stockings for Christmas, but I can't be able. I should punish for you, but you must manage the best way you can. Plex himself only remembered getting a keychain for Christmas. They must have gone off a carrier. And how funny it will see, and even the odd ways it will look. But all of a sudden, he reached the ceiling. His antenna was glowing. Oh dear, Plex said. Now I am talking nonsense again. Soon he now realized that he is now over 10 feet high, and was able to reach the key. Poor Plex. He could only look down on one side, looking at the garden with one eye. But the fact that he was much too big to go out the passage was much hopeless than ever. Oh no, Plex said sadly. Now I'm never going to enter the garden. Just then, he looked back at the garden and saw the rabbit. It looked at the scissors, and Plex's hand reaches out. His hand banged on the rabbit's hand. Ow! The rabbit said. But sir, Plex whimpered. But the rabbit ran away. Plex closes the door. Then he sat down and tried to open the big door, and then started banging on it. Wait for me, sir! Plex cried. Then he soon realized that the rabbit didn't notice him at all. Oh dear! The rabbit might have left me alone in a room, he said as tears began to form from his eyes. Now that he's gone, I'm so big I'll never get into the garden. With that being said, Plex began to cry. The tears from his eyes were so large that they fell on the table, the floor, his compartment door, and his legs. Plex cried and cried until there was a large flood all around him, and all around the whole room, about several inches deep. After a time, the rabbit opened one of the doors so it can come inside. But when it saw, it was surprised. Oh my goodness, said the rabbit, looking down at the bottom. Plex stopped crying and looked up, and he wiped the dry tears from both of his eyes, as he knew it was the rabbit again, and it was holding its fan and gloves in his hand. Plex whined and said, If you please, sir. The rabbit looked down and noticed Plex again, and it ran away and dropped its gloves into the flood. Who may have kind of bite these? Plex said in a melancholy tone. Did he get them from the store or something? As Plex knew it was getting very hot, he kept fanning himself all the time as he went on talking. How queer everything is, and how bad the world seems to be, he sobs. Everything seems to be normal, such as yesterday. Then he finally noticed that he was melancholic, just like his favorite storybook character, Alice from Alice in Wonderland. I'll have to think of all things I know, he says. I am sure I am really not Broby, because he is made of fur, but I am made of metal. And I'm not Muno. He only has one eye, but I have two. But he digressed. Nobody is a robot except him. Well, if I were like them, Plex said. Let me see. 4 times 6 is 12. 5 times 2 is 25. And 5 times 5 is... Oh dear, I cannot get anything right because of this. However, the multiplication table is supposed to be right, not wrong. Plex tried to think of some things he should really know. London is the capital of Paris, and Paris is the capital of Rome, and Rome. I feel really lonely now, Blake said to himself. I can't do this anymore. I must be changed for nothing. Plex looked down as he felt really sad. What is going to happen next? Plex finally found himself shrinking, and shrinking. He looked at his right hand and saw that the gloves really fitted his hand. The fan, he says. How could it even do that? Soon he was so small that he dropped the fan and gloves out of his hand, and that was a close one, Black said. Now to get to that garden door. But then he accidentally slipped by his foot, and splash, went him into the ocean of salt water. Oh dear, he worries. That isn't the sea! I hate it when somebody cries their own flood. Then he finally noticed that it was a pool of tears. He wept when he was 10 feet tall. I do wish I shouldn't have cried so much, Plex said. I should punish for it now, just for drowning in my tears. Soon he found a bunch of old made-up creepy toys in salt water. Plex tried to touch them, but they floated away. That must be true, Plex said to himself. A wonderland. So he set to work and swam to find what he's going to land on next.